Hello, I'm Andrej. Welcome to Berlin, to the PyData conference, and to my talk here. I will talk to you about visualizing Frag den Staat. And first question you will probably have is, Frag den Staat, what is that? Translated it is Ask the State, and it's in general a freedom of information portal which helps people to make freedom of information requests to the state. And to give you more two examples, so for example, you might have heard, or let's say you heard about a manager of Deutsche Bank giving his birthday celebration in the Chancellor House. And you know, the Chancellor House is a public body, so it belongs to the state. So this event is probably documented in this public body. And so what you can do is you can ask for the guest list of this event. And that's what people do. The manager, you may know him, is Josef Ackermann. It was a big deal at that time. And so this website helped people to make it easy to send this request. And they even implemented a one-click request so that you could go on the website and just have this guest list sent to you. Another example is a pretty smart high school student that had his final exams, and he thought, well, exams, they're kind of also public documents, so maybe I could ask for them. And so he did that, and he even received them, but only after the exam. So yeah, you see, it's a pretty useful website. And now in this talk, what I want to talk about is what kind of data do we have on this website? What are these requests made of? Then I want to tell you how I got this data, how I try to organize it to make it more useful or to handle better. And the main part will be about how I visualize it and how you can ask questions to this data set. And then in the end, because I still have many questions or many things that I want to do with it, I will tell you about that. And that will be it, yeah. So first, how did I get the data? No, what kind of data? Oh, I missed the first point. Cool. So what kind of data do we have? So we have a collection of freedom of information requests, and each request consists of all the messages that went between public body and the user. Usually it's the case that this website sends automatically an email to the public body, and usually the public body sends a mail back to the user, which he has to scan and then uploads to the website. But in the end, you have the whole process transparent on the website. And so other informations are, of course, like which public body was the request sent to, and what is the current status of this request, or if it was already completed, what was the result, was it successful, or was the information out there, or other outcomes. And also for all the messages we have the timestamps, so we can look, for example, at response times of the public bodies. So in summary, we have about 10,500 public freedom of information requests, and potentially they can go to 11,000 public bodies in Germany. And this website started in 2011, so we have kind of about a time range of 5 years where we have data from. And also for each of the messages, we have the current status, and if it was the last message, the result. Yeah. Okay, so now we know what kind of data we expect. And how do we get it? So fortunately, the website offers an API over which you can request all the requests and also the public bodies and the messages. I gave you an example URL. I won't show it to you. So what you get there is a raw JSON file with all the information of the request. And so, yeah, you just write a for loop and then you can download the whole data set. So for now, I just downloaded all the data offline, and analyze it offline, but later I also want to embed this in the website. I'm also working with a team of Fragtenstaat together, but this is a future issue. Okay, and so now we have the raw data in format of JSON files. So how did I organize it? Well, short answer would be I used pandas. And this is a really cool slide because it's probably like 80% of my work, but I just summed it up in some bullet points. So what I had to do was get the JSON file into dictionaries and then load it into a data frame that was a few lines, I guess, but then you have to clean the data, you have to make sure that you have standard data formats in all of your data frame columns, and also there are many IDs and links to other file formats, and that you have to map to meaningful names so that you can visualize them better. And because it's really a big data set, I had to first remove all the legal texts, because what the website does, it is adding all the legal text that you would usually have to include in your freedom of information request. So like what the user usually does, he says or she, okay, I want this document, but in the end the email will be like a lot of legal text and then one line, so please send me these documents. So you have to get rid of that stuff. And but in the end you have a nice data frame with which you can work. And now we can already come to visualizing data. And so like in general, what I did was filter the data set to get the data, the parts of the data that I want, and to format it in a nice way. The grouping functionality of pandas was very useful there, because then you can group the requests by the public bodies or also the states of Germany, and compare these. And then you can create the raw plots and customize them with a matplotlib. That's what I did. Okay, so now we have all these tools, so to say, but now let's ask some questions to this data set, because that's what I'm really interested in. And so first, broad question would be, did the website maybe have an influence on the total number of requests? So this law for freedom of information in Germany exists since 2006. And here I plotted the total number on the y-axis over the years. And so 2006 was the first year. And what you see that for the first 5 years, it was kind of stable at like below 2,000 requests per year. And then in 2011, Fragtenstaat started. And since then, I would say the number quite increased. And what I also showed here is what fraction of the request is going to the Ministry of Finances. Because as you can see, in 2012, there are so many requests, only like half of the requests are going to the Ministry of Finance. And we found out that these are serial requests to the ministry made by lawyers that were getting data for their customers in lawsuits. So you can already see that data is revealing some interesting details about the requests. So next question was, are these requests in general successful? So how many requests are getting actually the information that they are asking for? And here I'm showing you in the percentage on the y-axis, and you can see so you can see that about 50% of the requests were either successful or partially successful. Partially meaning that at least a part of the data set or the information was given to the user. And what you can also see is like, yeah, about 10% are like refused, or the information is not even there. But also a big part, and you see this in many public bodies also, big part of the requests are falling asleep. So that can mean that the public body is not answering for quite some time. I think the threshold is in the moment at 6 months. But it can also mean that the user, like the public body was asking the user for more details about the information, but the user, I don't know, didn't have interest anymore or something like that. Yeah. So, but overall, I would say the requests are rather successful. Each second request gets his information, more or less. For this kind of result, you can now go and group together the requests per public body or for the different states in Germany. Unfortunately, I'm not showing it here, but yeah. That would be maybe motivation to join this project. Okay, so next question. How long does the public body need to respond? The law says that it should answer within a month, which is like about 30 days. That depends on holidays in between. And so what you can here see is actually the bulk of the public bodies or the requests are answered within this legal time limit. But there's also many more that are responding much later. I have to say about this data that it's not that easy to calculate, because you would have to look at each single message. What is the reason that the message was like resolved? Because like these are completed requests, and the user decides when the request is completed. So yeah, it's rather difficult to be sure that the request is really completed. Yeah, you might wonder where this peak here comes from. So in the beginning of this year, the website started a campaign because there was a decision by the federal court, that the scientific service of the parliament, which is always generating reports for the parliament, has to give out these reports if people are requesting them by freedom of information requests. And so what we were doing, of course, is asking for the list of all these reports that the scientific service is making and did in the last 20 years. So what the people of the project did was offering like a list where you just click on one of the documents, and an automatic email would be sent, and a freedom of information request would be made. So like within a week, I think there were about 2,000 freedom of information requests, which the public body usually answers by mail. So they were pretty overwhelmed by a lot of requests. And then without mentioning this campaign, they just said, okay, from now on we're making them publicly accessible from ourselves. So yeah, that was quite a success. And I think this is here all those requests that they answered after deciding that they will make them public anyway. Okay, so you can see there are many questions that you can ask the data. This is just, I think I just scratched the surface of all the insights that you can get from the data. And so what else can you do? What I thought about is natural language processing, because you have all these messages, like there are emails by the public body or also from the user. And for example, you could ask, maybe the user is not asking very politely for the information, and maybe this has an effect on the success rate of the request. or you could look how generic the texts of the public bodies are, because usually I guess they use just text snippets and include or insert the names of the user. Also, you can maybe find correlations or differences between different states, or like maybe the success rate depends on the size of the city where the request is made, or also on how many people are actually working for this freedom of information requests. So there's a lot of stuff to do. And in conclusion, I can say by using Python, I was able to ask a few questions about this interesting data set, which is showing the a transparency process in the German state. And in general, I guess you can say that by using Python, by using data analysis, you can really support open democracy and make governmental processes more transparent. And I guess there's a lot more stuff to do. So if you're interested, feel free to join. The code that I wrote is on this GitHub page. Maybe give me some time to make the last commits today because it's not up to date. Also, the web page is here, and it's actually also on GitHub, and it's implemented as a general framework for freedom of information portals, and it's implemented in Django. So they're actually also looking for people that help in the development of that. And that should be it. Thanks for your attention, and feel free to ask.
Thanks for the great talk. Are there any questions?
Yeah. How did I get rid of what stuff?
If a question contained a quote, for instance, how did you get rid of that? You mentioned something like that.
That was rather rough cleaning, so I didn't go. Okay, I will repeat the question. He asked if maybe in the question there are quotes or stuff like that. So in the text of the request, I didn't analyze the text of the request. By cleaning, I just meant make uniform data formats like strings or that stuff. So yeah. Yeah.
Can you show us how it works on the website if you have internet and type of stuff?
He asked to show how it works. Frag den Staat.de. It is linked, but I'm not sure if I have internet.
So you don't have internet?
No. Yeah.
You can try connecting.
But with what?
PyData conf.
Oh.
It's PyData BLN.
So you're asking how to make a request on the website, actually? Okay, so this is the starting page of the website, and here it gives actually a video how the process is working, and also what the steps of the request are. And so first you have to log in, and then you click on this button to make a request. So the first thing you have to do is to choose the public body. I don't know if somebody has an example or something that he wants to ask for.
The Berlin Senate for more cycle lanes.
So he said we should ask the Berlin Senate for the bicycle lanes, and so here now it gives you some advice what you should consider when making the request, and yeah, things. So now it shows this public body here, and usually what you want to do is send a freedom of information request, so in German Informationsfreiheitsanfrage, and so I choose this one, and now yeah, you can write something. So now here I would just say the documents of the plans for the bicycle lanes in Berlin for 2016 or something like that. Yeah. I wouldn't write it in English, of course, so I'm not making it here. But yeah, so if you wrote it here, that's already it. You have to register before. That's what I already did. Now you have to see my address. But if you checked everything, you just click on this button, and then the request is made, and the email is sent to the public body. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. So, for example, with this scientific service, there were a lot of funny examples, but it was rather funny what the people in the parliament were asking the scientific service. So there were people asking if there exists life in outer space. Yeah, something like that. So they're very curious. I guess that's positive. Yeah, there was a report. You can. So what they actually did after this campaign, they set up a page which is called Sehr Gutachten, which has all the reports, and there you can search through. You can do a full text search through all the reports that this scientific service made. So I think it was about this. Yeah, so here the first report says the European Union and her dealing with the issue unidentified flying objects. So that's one report. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So he asked for best practices when visualizing the data, and I guess like preparing the figures for this presentation, for example, right? Yeah. So I guess like a few rules that you always can consider is like make large fonts. Always say what's on the axis of your plots, and I don't know, like use nice colors. So like that you have a nice contrast between the things that you want to compare, or where there is a contrast that you want to show. Yeah, that's what I can think of. I don't know, do you have more specific question about that, or okay? Yeah. He asked. So he asked how I make sure if I clean the data that I did it correctly, and so what I usually do is, I write the code and then let it run, and I just check for some examples that I guess are like, good examples for this kind of procedure. Yeah, I don't go through all the data. Okay. Yeah. 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 So she asked why, how did I come to this project, more or less, and it's rather the second that you said. So I was at the Net Politics conference last year. That was another scandal about this treason from, like the treason lawsuit for netzpolitik.org. It's like a German netpolitics blogger website. So that was like a big scandal, and then I got interested in the subject. Then I went to the conference, and there the guy that is running this website was giving a talk, and then I thought, wow, that's very interesting. And they were actually discussing this issue with the scientific service, and it was not resolved at that time. And then I thought, they could probably use some help, and I want to like apply my just learned Python skills. So I asked them, yeah, if they have some tasks, and yeah, then we found out that there's a lot of stuff that you can do with the requests.
Any other questions? So let's thank our speaker again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.